What's going on, boys? Today we are talking SI and the way it doesn't know to pay attention. In one of Michael Pierce's videos, he discusses the differences in the ways an SI user and an NI user would process someone jumping out from behind a bookshelf. The way Pierce describes it, an NI user will immediately think, that's weird, why did this person do that? What led them to do that? What about their life circumstances led them to do that? How did they do that? What were they hoping to accomplish with it? Whereas an SI user would just go, that's weird, and go back to doing whatever they were doing. Now, I didn't know exactly what he meant by that. I could see what he was saying and I could see that it was true, but I didn't recognize the importance of it until I recognized the importance of it. And that's the case in point. SI doesn't know to pay attention to something until there is a realizing that they need to pay attention to it, or a realization. SI users don't know to pay attention to things until they are alerted to pay attention to them. This isn't to say SI users can't notice things. We do, but most of our attention is usually focused on one thing. And the one thing we pay most attention to is the continuance. Things that have been true and things that will be true. Things we have observed enough times to say, this is the way it is. And because this is the way it is and has been, this is the way it will continue to be. That's one of the reasons arguing with SI types, even for other SI types, can be aggravating. This is what we've seen, so this is what we know, and until we see different, we aren't changing our minds. This gets even more aggravating when the SI type doesn't actively look for other things, different things to see, or maybe isn't even open to seeing new things in the first place. NI types are annoying because once they are on something, you can't even make them see different. Only time will make them change their minds. But we're focusing on SI types right now. We don't pay attention to certain things because unless the thing we don't know to pay attention to has a direct bearing on the continuance, we don't know to give a shit about it. And even if people tell us to give a shit about it, if it doesn't affect the way things have been or will be, even if it does and we don't know it, we aren't going to pay attention to it. We aren't going to look for it. SI is a lot of things. It's a regularly oversimplified function, just like SE. But one of the ways of thinking about SI is like a tank rolling through a swamp, or just bad terrain. The tank is our base of experiences and knowledge, and its heading is the probable future based on our experiences and knowledge. Everything outside the tank is just shit getting in the way we couldn't give less of a shit about, because if it's not stopping the tank, and if it isn't helping the tank, why should we care about it when our experiences and knowledge are working just fine the way they are and will probably get us where we need to go? Now, that seems to be the case for SI in general. Awakenings are something I am realizing. Awakenings are realizings. I think these are a way SI types operate. Things outside my tank, one, I can pay attention to, and two, maybe I should pay attention to. SI dismisses things, or interest doesn't stick with a subject when we think it hasn't affected things in the past, and it probably won't affect things in the future, so any decisions we make right now will lead to short-term, small changes, but no real major changes in the long term. Now, this isn't necessarily the case, but if we don't see the way a thing could affect us seriously in the long term, it might as well be the case. But this is where those realizations and awakenings come in. First example, body language. For the longest time, I knew what body language was. I knew it was important. I knew a lot of people talked about it. But I never paid attention to it because it never affected my life. Or so I thought, right? Because when you aren't paying attention to something, when you fall into a loop, if you don't see the way things can change, you will assume things can't change. So, someone alerts me to body language. Someone whose judgment at the time I respected. Broke it down for me. Here's what it is. Here's how it works. Here's some things you can look for and try that will immediately affect your presence in the world. And I thought that's bullshit. But then I try it, it isn't bullshit. It made immediate, noticeable effects on the way I existed. And now that it does affect the way things will be, now I go, oh Jesus, this is something I haven't been paying attention to, this is something I need to pay attention to. It never occurred to me that using open body language would make people more open to me. The point to pay attention to about SI with this is body language was something I had been existing around forever. But it wasn't something I noticed until it was pointed out to me and was demonstrated to have an effect on the way things were done, the way things happened, on perceptions. SI types can be around things. They can even be aware of things. But until that thing is fit into the continuance, until the SI type is made aware this is a thing that can affect the way things have been done and will be done, we won't know or care to pay attention to it. A less serious example, production in music. Now, you listen to music, you are always around production. But to me, before I was made aware of production, all I thought was, this is a good song, this isn't a good song. Now, a few years ago, I started listening to internet rappers, or the sort of rap you will hear on Void tracks. I don't know what they're called. But in those comment sections, many people talk about production and producers. And I'm listening to these rappers and their songs, reading the comments, and I'm still thinking good song, bad song, good song, bad song. I'm seeing people talking about production, and I think, okay, production. That's something that contributes to a good song. And I start looking for production, but I'm not really looking for it because the awakening hasn't happened. The realization that production is a real thing hasn't happened. Then, one day, I listened to a song that it made me go, oh, Jesus. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it made me go, oh my God, because the production was madness. The production, I mean, the rapper, Fuck It, when Fuck It is on Good Things, I don't know if he's still around. He's doing good. 30% of his songs are when he's doing really good, crazy shit, and then the rest is when he does that standard ass fucking, like, fuck it flow, I think is the word. Flow is something that I haven't been awakened to yet, but I know to pay attention to that, but I don't know to pay attention to that. Anyway, not to discount Fuck It's rapping, but the production really made that song. Then the awakening and the realization happened. This is production. This is what production can do for music. Then I start to pay attention specifically to production. SI is a function about specifics and details. Something important grabs your SI, and shakes it awake to the fact this thing is a sea of details that are important. And then you're paying attention. You are really paying attention. We'll go back to Pierce's bookshelf example. Someone jumps out from behind a bookshelf, SI type goes, that's weird, and goes back to whatever they were doing. They don't pay attention to it because one person jumped out from behind a bookshelf once. This isn't something that has any bearing on the way things have been done or will be done in the future. Unless either people jump out from behind bookshelves so often we need to pay attention to it, or unless the person jumps out from behind the bookshelf with such intensity we need to watch out for it in the future, we aren't going to pay attention to it. It's like SI types don't realize things can explain or turn into other things unless we are made aware of the importance of it in a way that affects the way we think about things. Now, why might SI types not look at each and every little thing that way, the way NI types would, beyond just, it doesn't come naturally to us? Which is perfectly valid, by the way, because SI will get us where we need to go, regardless. Well, once we're made aware of a thing we need to watch out for, or might benefit from watching out for, a few things happen. Firstly, you need to remember NE does not play nicely with NI. First thing that happens is we are suddenly aware of the fact we are now paying attention to this small thing full of details that has and will affect our lives. Which means every single little other thing in our lives, in the world, could be equally detail-filled and impactful. And we don't know to know. Even if we want to know, we don't know how to know. we get overloaded and paranoid immediately. Then we fixate. Fixation is more typical in NI types, but NE fixation is a bit different. Instead of focusing on one point, we focus on the way one point could turn into a billion other points. A billion other ways we could fuck this one thing up and don't know how to navigate. Among the billions of other things that are puppeting us that we don't even know to know about. So you have two layers of overwhelming to the point our brains are smoking, which develops two layers of paranoia and panic even. How are we supposed to consider all these things all at once? I don't think that's the way NI types navigate these things. NI types will pay attention to things, these details like this, but they're more like the psychers or the navigators in 40K guiding ships. There is literal chaos all around them, but they see exactly where they need to go and what they need to do despite that. They're aware of it, and they know what to do. When NE types, or rather SI types, but same thing, different angle, get thrown into and made aware of all that chaos, we're in it, and we have to contend with all of it all at once. We don't have a singular point to move toward. We have to consider everything, which makes you end up feeling like you know, I don't know about you. Alice in Wonderland scared the shit out of me as a child. There are too many things happening, and I can't make sense of any of them. And the very end, or not the very end, but the ending bit of Alice in Wonderland, you know, when the entire world is essentially falling apart and all the nonsense was just, it wasn't nonsense, it was more like nothingness. That's really freaky, terrifying. You end up feeling like you're in Alice in Wonderland in some dark woods amidst a sea of things you just don't understand, yet you have to contend with them. You have to fight them. Third layer of paranoia, to the point of spazzing out real bad. We get in our SI tanks, our experiences, what we know, so we aren't subjected to all this, all the potentialities, because they'll make you go insane, especially when you don't have that pinpoint location to go the way NI types seem to have. But that is, I think, one of the many ways SI works. Will this thing you're asking us to pay attention to, or to notice, affect the way things have been done or will be done? No. Or at least that's what we think. So we aren't going to pay attention to it. Then if someone makes us aware of the way something works, or that something, or there is something we should pay attention to that has affected the way things have gone and will go, then we start paying attention to it once we can see it does have an effect. But if we get too into that, or try to, we get overloaded super quickly. Continuance, realization, awakening, details, then paranoia. We can be around or aware of something without realizing it has an effect on everything, past, present, and future, not just some little contextual decisions in the moment, but once we realize, we key into it and try to find all the details. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. I am tired. It was either this video or the way SI types, any SI types argue and how to prove them wrong. Maybe we'll try to do that tomorrow. Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. Are you an SI type? Have you ever experienced one of these realizations or awakenings? How do you think of SI? There are a whole bunch more aspects of SI I haven't gone over here. I want to make that clear. This is just one thing I've been noticing lately. I'm realizing I need to realize. Thanks again for watching everybody, really. We have a lot of fun on this channel, so much fun. In fact, you can light it up and put it in a cup. I am really enjoying my double candle cup. It's cozy. I don't think it puts out a lot of heat, but it puts out a little heat in these cold winter days. And the fun just a little bit brightens up the room. That's how much fun we have on this channel, and I look forward to doing this with you guys again. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Really? No, we already did that. But that's how much fun we could have on this channel. I did it right the first time. That's how much fun we can have on this channel, and I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.